Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Chit Chat live from East Texas. I am so excited you guys are joining me today. I have today the most amazing guest ever. I am so excited. But before we get there, for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm DC. I'm your host. I am also here because I started this series because I wanted to help creative people who are currently stuck, who are trying to find themselves back, to start living their best life now. So this is why the series is here, to give you tips, to give you tools, above all now, to bring you some amazing guests that are going to kind of motivate you, to give you those tips to help you live there. So today we have the amazing Miss Sandy Spades joining us, entrepreneur, artist, amazing guru in fitness, above all, trailblazer. So we're talking a lot about living your best life. Miss Sandy's that example. So she's coming shortly. Before we jump in there, my friends, go ahead, give this episode a like, share it, invite people to join our community. You know, growth is always better when we do it together. Share this episode. If at any point in time you guys have any questions, make sure to put in the chat. I'll be looking down. You have some questions for Miss Sandy. Go ahead and tell us if you're watching the replay or if you're watching us on YouTube. Still put a comment because I'm going to go and make sure that we answer those back. So if you guys are ready to get started, ready to kick off this exciting afternoon, I'm going to bring Miss Sandy on and we're going to get the show going. So Miss Sandy, hopefully you are ready for us. Let's get going. Hi,
Hey
madam.
DC, hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us. It's such an honor to have you, and it's such a pleasure for our guests to kind of meet you. You are such an incredible person. So, for those of you guys who are not familiar, I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Sandy a couple months ago, and it was like, she's an artist. I was blown away, and the more I met her, the more I was like, oh my God, you are somebody our viewers need to get to know. So let's start with this whole part that most people are not aware. You are a artist slash as well tattoo artist. Not only
hmm
that, you're a businesswoman and entrepreneur. When did you decide that you were going to start in a male focused industry? Because let's be honest, most of the tattoo industry is still very focused. At a time
Yes,
and an age that tattoos was not as common as we see it today, and then you're going to
right.
open your own shop. Tell us about this. What was that all about?
Well, I started tattooing as a hobby in the 80s. It started out as a hobby early in the mid 80s, and I ended up opening a little shop in Hope, Arkansas for a couple of years. And I moved to Canada. And when I came back, I opened my shop in Texarkana in 92. Um, I never thought about it being male dominated, but certainly in those days it was. When I opened my shop in Hope, there was only one other female artist in the whole state. And
Wait,
as a matter of fact, at
wait,
that
in the
time, there
whole
were
state of Arkansas?
of
Are you
Arkansas.
serious? Oh my
Yep. And
God.
in fact, at that time, there were only 9 tattoo shops. Now, the regulations to open a tattoo shop ha- differ now in Arkansas than they did back then. That was, 30 plus years ago. But at that time, there were only 9 shops open in mine. So that was something. And when I came back here and opened Dermographic Studio, I was the first tattoo shop in Texarkana. Now there was somebody tattooing at the flea market.
Oh my God.
I don't know if that counts, but there was somebody
No, it
tattooing out
doesn't.
of the flea market in '92, and but I opened my shop, and I never really thought about it being male dominated. I guess I just did. My parents weren't of the mind like, oh, you're a girl, you have to be a teacher, a nurse, or whatever. My parents never put any kind of parameters on what I could do. They never told me those things. So it never occurred to me that I should or should not be doing something because I'm a female.
That is beautiful because back in those days when you're thinking about it, there was those kind of roles that people had. It was the roles that you played and the things that you did. For the
Right.
fact that you have very progressive parents is amazing. And the fact that you said, why not? So opening up a business. What made you
Yes.
decide to do that? Because that's, as a whole, regardless of the business, it is still big. When did you decide, yeah, I'm going to be a business owner?
Well, I've been a business owner in my first marriage uh, back in the 80s. My first husband and I were Domino's Pizza franchisees, and we were quite young. I had success early. Um, we worked real hard, and it was different. It was easier in those days. I'm not gonna lie. Young people have a tough road to hoe these days, as we would say. Um, so I had that success. That that fell through. That's a long story. But anyways, when I opened the tattoo shop, I did it mainly out of necessity. I needed to make money. I was divorced, and I was like, I need to do this. And there wasn't a tattoo shop in Texarkana, and so I opened it. I guess you would say out of necessity, but I also love. I mean, I love tattooing, so I opened it, and I was the only one here, and it just went off like gangbusters. That was the beginning of the tattoo craze, I'd say. It's not the golden age of tattooing. The golden age of tattooing is, I would say, the 60s, the 50s and 60s, when people talk about the traditional golden age. Um, but the 90s certainly were when tattoos started being more accepted. The late 80s and early 90s, you saw more tattoos, and still women with tattoos were not nearly as common as it is now at all. I mean, when I would meet a woman with a tattoo, it'd be like one tattoo, maybe two tattoos in a discrete spot. Very few women had visible tattoos.
There is still a lot of stigma. There is still a lot of negative perception. And actually, thankfully, like everything else, times change and has revolutionized. So you were dealing in an industry that it was just different. I mean, and even
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, and to move down to Texarkana, which is kind of very revolutionary and progressive. And when we met, you're like, I have been welcomed by the community amazingly, and it has been incredible. And I was like, that is awesome, because most people don't think about how hard is it to run a business in a small town. So when you're thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
what was your mindset?
Well, I just opened it. It was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, I guess. I didn't really think about it. I just got in there and tattooed and made money. At the same time, I was going to university, so I had a lot on my plate at that time. Then me and the man I was married to at the time opened Modern Primitives, my other business, in 95. So that was 3 years later. We opened it with basically money I'd made from tattooing. He worked, but he was just a truck driver at the time. And we opened Modern Primitives, and that was something else because Modern Primitives started out as a metaphysical shop.
Okay.
Like it's what people commonly call a head shop. It's a smoking accessory shop. We do body piercing. We have other lines of products, including supplements like CBD and medicinal mushrooms and stuff like that. But when we opened in 95, it was strictly metaphysical, kind of like a hippie shop, with
Okay.
pagan supplies and tie dye stuff and black lights and all that kind of stuff. And opening that type of shop in a town that is very fairly conservative, especially at that time, much more conservative than it is now, I would say. It was something else. People thought we were going to get burned out, but we didn't, and people loved us. And it slowly transitioned into a smoking accessory shop, which is primarily what it is today. Although we do carry some metaphysical supplies still. Times change, and you have to be willing to change with the times. So that's where we're at now, and it's been successful. Texarkana has been really good to me, really, really good to me, and I have no complaints.
So for everybody who's not in our area, just kind of little heads up, we kind of say we're in the Bible Belt. So, and I completely can relate with you, Sandy, because when I decided to start writing the intern diaries, I'm like, I'm writing about witches in the Bible Belt. What am I thinking? But like you said, Texarkana is very welcoming, is very loving to their artists, which is, I love it. So you mentioned something that I think we need to jump in here and talk about it because most people don't think about it. You're talking about changing with the times. Honestly, what got you here is not going to get you there. Talk
Right.
about that. How did you said, okay, times and changes. Let's buckle up and do this.
Yeah, when we started transitioning from metaphysical plies to smoking accessories, we did it small because that was kind of a gray area at that time, more looked down upon, and we had to make sure we were doing exactly what the law required, abiding by the laws and regulations that were set forth. And we just kind of went, I would say, just kind of went from there with it. As far as keeping up with trends and stuff, I try to stay on top of everything. Fortunately, I have a very young crew, younger than me. One of my right hand people, though, has been with me for 25 years. James Weeks is our body piercer, and
Awesome.
he's been with us a long time. The rest of the crew have been with me anywhere from 8 years to relatively new, but they're all young, and we all kind of help each other stay on top of trends, especially industry trends. I try to, stay online and look for new things. I subscribe to some magazines that help me stay on top of trends. If you don't change with the times, you're going to be left behind. And for a lot of people my age, they have a tendency to not change with the times and move forward. And I think that contributes to becoming obsolete, if you will. I don't want to sound like a machine, but that's what happens. You
It
become obsolete if you don't keep up with trends, you know?
it's not being pessimist or anything, it's the reality. And things change very, very quickly. So it can be extremely overwhelming for people. You go in, I have a few writers that say, I'm supposed to keep up with Instagram, and I'm supposed to keep up with this. I don't know if you can need to personally keep up. You can always hire somebody. You can always get help. I love the
Yeah, you
fact
can
that
get consultants. Yeah.
you have a team. It's
Hmm.
in-house team that is willing to do it. But you mentioned about reading what's in the trends. You also read what's in your industry. So you're always staying abreast of what the industry has.
Yes, I have to follow it, and especially the laws. The laws concerning CBD and hemp are constantly changing. The laws surrounding cannabis production overall are moving fast in this country, really fast. Things are changing very, very quickly. And with hemp and CBD, it's imperative that I keep up with it. I'm a licensed CBD and hemp retailer, and it's important for me to always stay abreast of the law where those things are concerned.
I love the fact that you have businesses in multiple different areas, but they're all within the regulations. So it's not that it cannot be done. You just have to take the step of faith and just go out there and do it. So I love it. So I'm going to switch a little gears because you kind of gave us a little hint. You were going to school while you were running your businesses. And
Hmm.
they let us slip. You are a biologist by
Yeah, my degree, I have a BS in biology. My minor was in chemistry. And I didn't get my degree because I needed it for a career. Obviously, I had a career. I did it mainly for personal knowledge and achievement. And I enjoyed it. It was tough, but I was a lot younger then, and I could do that.
That means you weren't
I
sleeping.
drove.
There was no sleeping going on in your life.
Yeah, I drove. I drove back and forth to SAU every day, or almost every day. Certainly every day in my senior year, and ran the tattoo shop in the afternoon and night. And at that time, I was working by myself in the tattoo shop. I did not have any other people working with me.
So let's put this
So,
in perspective, people. There wasn't online classes going on. There wasn't going on.
no, this was in
This
the
is
'90s.
physical.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
there
my
was no
God.
online classes. I got up at 7 in the morning. I got up earlier than that. I drove to SAU so I could be in my 8 o'clock class. I drove back to Texarkana at noon. I opened the tattoo shop at 1 and worked till 9 every day.
Oh my God. Because I'm assuming you were always working like Saturdays and Sundays because people go to tattoo shops on the weekends as well. So it
I
wasn't
didn't
like you.
I didn't work on Sunday. I think in those days I was closed on Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
So I could devote that time to studying, and I studied on the road. I know that's dangerous, and we don't advocate that people look at their phones or text, but I would do all my notes on one side of a piece of paper and staple it together, so as I was driving I could like hold the notes up over my steering wheel and look at them as I'm driving along. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I did it.
I'm just grateful you survived. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
That is dangerous. So, biologist, you are a career woman. Let's go ahead because you have multiple fields that you have invested. You have multiple things that you do that you follow that your passion. You're an artist. You're an oil painting artist. Like Kathleen, my sister-in-law, and I have a comment of how time-consuming and difficult oil painting it is. So when we met, you were like, "Oh my God, you not only you're amazing, but you actually enjoy this." Like, when did you decide to start painting?
I started painting in around 2005, I guess it was, something like that, and I had never painted before. I mean, paint by number when you're 6 years old doesn't count. So anyways, I joined a painting class at Texarkana College, but the teacher didn't really teach us how to paint. she was like, here's how you mix the paints. Look at the picture and paint what you see. And so I did, and
Oh, wow.
I was pretty good at it. And now I I like to paint in oil, but oil takes so long to dry. I love the way it blends, and I love the depth you can get with oils. But nowadays, I paint often more in acrylic. Although I'm fixing to start a painting that's in oil. I use the water mixable oils because they do dry faster. They have a faster drying time. So I'm going to start another painting with oil because I do miss it. I get impatient and I want to hurry up and finish, but I have my paintings have a lot of detail in them, so you have to take the time to let it dry, so you're not putting your hand in the in the painting while you're trying to paint the other parts. It's a little time consuming, but I mean I love it and it's relaxing. I just put on some jazz music and paint, get in my head.
So here's what I want everybody to kind of pay attention to this. We always think in order to start different things, you have to be a certain age, or there's an age limit, or I'm too old, or I'm too busy. You're running a business, multiple businesses, and you are
Mm-hmm.
jumping into this because you wanted to try something new. You went back to
Mm-hmm.
school. That is amazing. Like, what advice would you give somebody who says, I want to try this, but I'm afraid to take a leap? Because you're taking leaps left and right.
Yeah, I took leaps. I would say don't think, just do. A lot of people psych themselves out. They think, oh man, I'd really like to learn how to play the violin. And they're like, oh, I'm too old or I don't have the talent. You never know until you try. And if you try it and it doesn't work out, it's okay. It's okay. You have to try different things in order to hit on the thing that you're good at or that you enjoy. And don't let other people tell you you can't. That's really important. I don't know. I think a lot of people let other people dictate what goes on in their lives. And I think that's unfortunate.
We do have a lot of people who are influenced by what people think, what people say, or even what their families as a close, what are they going to perceive of me? And they stop themselves. They truly live really much small minded lives because they're trying to make everything happy. And you are in a great example. It's just follow your heart and take this leap.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I don't have an extended family. I just have my parents who are thankfully still alive, but I haven't lived near them in 40 years basically. And even if I did, they would encourage me to do whatever made me happy. My parents were really good that way. I would say don't listen to the naysayers. Just do what you want to do. As long as it's making you happy and you want to pursue it and it's enriching your life and it's opening your horizons, absolutely do it. It doesn't matter if it's studying herbal medicine or painting or learning to work on small engines, whatever you want to do. And that goes for men too. I mean, a lot of people focus on women empowering themselves and moving forward, but men are held back too. Men are held back by the constraints of society by saying only men should work on small engines and only women should learn to knit. Well, what if women want to learn to work on small engines and men want to learn to knit? It's okay. If that interests you, do it. And screw people that say you should not be doing something. It's not their life, it's your life. You do what you want.
Oh, Miss Sandy, I love it. I love the fact that we want to empower people to take those leaps, regardless of what everybody else says. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You can't be a secondary character in your own world. That is just such a horrible way to live.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And a lot of people put others first. And there is nothing wrong with helping people. And there is nothing wrong with making family important, making friends important, but you can't lose sight of yourself. And unfortunately, and I'm not going to point at men or women because men often feel a lot of pressure to be the breadwinner and to take care of the family and whatnot, but there's a lot of pressure on women, a lot, to lose their identity and only take the identity on of their children or their husband. And I see that a lot, and I think it's very unfortunate. And women should not be held, I'm not going to say accountable, held to those parameters like, well, once you become a mom, that's it. You're not Betty Jean anymore. You're Susie's mommy or you're
It,
Johnny's mommy. Don't lose sight of yourself.
It becomes very restricted because we fall into those roles. And most
Yes,
people feel,
exactly.
yeah, they feel like there's one role and I can only play this role, and they become those things instead of realizing we have multiple personas. Because let's talk about this. You're a fitness guru. I was blown away. I've been stalking you on Facebook. I know, so ashamed to admit this, but you have this incredible picture. I was like, are those a six pack? Do you have a six pack? Is it an eight pack? What is going on? Because you keep talking about your age, and I'm like, oh my god, how is it possible that you look this amazing? When did you start a fitness? Tell us about that.
Well, I a long time ago, I mean in the 80s, I remember having this little black and white picture book showing how to lift weights, and every night I'd go in my room and try to lift weights, but that didn't last. I fell in love with running. Was riding my bicycle a lot when I lived in Toronto, Canada. Toronto is a very bicycle friendly
Okay.
town, even though it snows a lot there. But in the spring and summer, you can ride your bicycle. In fact, you learn to ride in traffic, which people here can't comprehend. But there, it's like New York City. There are bicycles in with the traffic. And I rode my bike a lot there. But when I came back to the States, I took up running and I fell in love with it. And I ran competitively for over 20 years. I ran all through the 90s. I ran all the races. I did marathon. I ran up until the mid 2000s, I think. No, it was all through the 2000s. So it was the 90s and 2000s. I started CrossFitting. I had some friends that were in CrossFit, and I was like, they were like, oh, it's so fun. You should come and blah, blah, blah. So I started CrossFitting, and I loved it too. And I was on a competitive team a couple of times and had a lot of fun with that. But from then, I segued into bodybuilding, which is where I'm at now. And I did my first figure show, an NPC show, when I was 55. I'm 58 now. So I'm looking to do another show maybe at the end of the year. But I'll be honest with you, at this age, it's building muscle is an uphill battle. It's I'm not gonna lie. But overall fitness, that's not for everybody. Okay, I'm in a weird niche sport, but overall fitness and health is really important. I am a certified personal trainer from the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I am renewing my nutrition certification with them. I have the original one with the ISSA. And I would just like to see people take control of their health through proper eating habits and exercising. You don't have to be a maniac. You don't have to go out and run a marathon. Just put on your shoes and walk out the door in one direction for 20 minutes and turn around and walk back. It's really easy. And a lot of people, well, I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Well, why don't you get off Facebook for 20 minutes and do some yoga?
Just not
Or
right now.
why
Not at
don't
this
you,
moment.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, not at
Yeah.
this moment. But you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If it's really important, and people don't understand how much it can improve the quality of their life, especially at my age. I see a lot of people my age, they are just broke down because they never exercise, they eat crap, and don't take care of themselves. And you don't have to live like that. You don't have to live like that. I don't get how people think that just because they get older, their body's automatically going to start breaking down and stuff. If you take the right steps, you can make a world of change in your life. My mother's 86 years old, and she still gets around great. And so does my dad. My dad's 86. He still goes to the gym. So, anyways, it's out there. I just really want to encourage people to take control of their health and put themselves first in that respect. Absolutely.
I love the fact, and I was not going to ask your age. I was trying to be all nice, but hey, since you
I
put
don't
it out,
care.
so what are
I don't care.
I know it still was. I was trying to still be very polite, but let's talk about this. You are a bodybuilder at 58. Let's be honest. I am 42, and you're asking me you're gonna go build. I'm like, I'm barely have something here, like baby steps. But I love your motivation. I love the fact that you are fearless. 90% of the time, we're stuck in our heads, and you already said it. We're overthinking it. We're too involved in what's gonna happen. What are they gonna say? How are they gonna take it? And it's absolutely amazing to say, you know what? Do it. stop, think, be like Nikes today. Just do it. Take that leap, and it doesn't matter your place. Just go ahead and amazing support. But when you decided, because I love the fact that when you're going to do something, you're all in. It's not just, I'm going to go
Yeah,
lift to my
that's
son.
me. I'm all in.
We are officially kindred spirits because I'm like, it's all or nothing. There is not going to be anything in between. I'm like, I'm jumping in and we're going to go do this and I'm going to compete. And I'm like, really? Are you serious? For
Yeah,
somebody who's just starting out, you don't have to compete. But they're
that's right.
deciding,
That is
yeah,
right.
there's different levels of happiness, guys. My happiness and a spin bike and some walking, maybe some weights,
Hmm.
but not as many. What will you tell them? What advice will you tell them when they're going, I haven't exercised in 20 years.
It's
I
okay.
am, how do I start? That will be the question. How do I start to take this leap?
Well, some people are shy to go in the gym, and I get that. There are lots of online resources, tons, YouTube videos for every kind of exercise you can do, from beginners at home workouts to advanced in the gym workouts. So that's the beauty of the internet. The internet is a blessing and a curse, but it does have a lot of resources for people to get started with. There's lots of misinformation out there, so you have to be careful about where you get your information. But you can go on YouTube and just go at home workouts for beginners. But I'm going to say right now, the most important thing is consistency, consistency, consistency. You don't have to exercise every day, even though it feels great to do something every day. If you can just get in 4 days a week, that's better than no days a week. Even if you get out and walk, even if you're really overweight and you're like, gosh, I can hardly walk for 15 minutes, well, that's okay. Walk for 5 minutes, but do it consistently. And pretty soon you're going to be able to walk for 6 minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then 8 minutes. You see what I'm saying? Incrementally, those things will build up. I certainly didn't start out lifting the amount of weight I can lift now. I'm not a power lifter. Powerlifting and bodybuilding are two different things, okay?
What is the
But
difference? I'm not aware of them.
okay, powerlifting, powerlifters, their main concern is getting as much weight away from the force of gravity as they can. Their three big lifts are the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. In
Ooh,
in competition, that's what they do.
okay.
They do those three things. That's all they do. Bodybuilding is about aesthetics. It's about looks. It's about muscularity, definition, composition, and conditioning. So it's two very different. It's very different sports. With CrossFit, CrossFit is a combination of Olympic lifting, which is a different kind of lifting, and functional fitness, what they call functional fitness. It's evolved a lot since I started with CrossFit, which was 10 years ago now, I guess. Yeah, yeah, I guess it's been about 10 years ago now. And it's evolved a lot, but there's all kinds of different fitness. Yoga is a lot of fun. I did that for a long time, and I still incorporate yoga stretches into my stretching routine, my daily stretching routine. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you get out there and move and make food choices. Nutrition is the area that that's my shtick. That's what I know, and I really love it. It kind of goes with my biology degree, but nutrition's like super important too. I cannot express how important it is. Your body needs those nutrients, and it needs proper nutrients. And I could just really talk all day, but that'll be a different show.
I love it. So I want to bring us back because you have incorporated every area you can imagine. You are bringing in together your health, your nutrition, your intellect, your business. All of these things have incorporated an incredible package of who you are, and you do them all consistently. I love the fact that you brought consistent into the thing because people want to start a business and we're going to do it for 2 months, and then when it doesn't take off, we quit and we jump into something else. It's like, but you continue to do this all the time, and you're so holistic about it. So if you can give our listeners an advice that says, I'm ready to start something, what would you tell them? Besides start thinking about it, what would be that motivational piece that you can say, think about this that will get you out of that stuck box into the next level?
Well, people could start a little journal. If they have some ideas they want to bounce around in their head, write those ideas down and do some research into those ideas. A lot of people like doing something and they, oh, I could make a business out of this. Well, there's a whole world of difference between liking something and making a business out of it. I see that a lot in the restaurant business. Restaurant business is tough. I was in it years ago. And you might like cooking. That doesn't mean you want to cook every day for hundreds of people or 20 people or whatever, or that's a lot, you know. That's why restaurants routinely fail. And there's more to running a business than just people think running your business is, oh, in a few months it'll be successful and I'll kick back on my cell phone in the pool with my little drink and just give orders to my people. That's not how it works. You have to be there all the time. You have to be there in your business consistently. I am fortunate enough to where I've been entrenched here in the community for so long. My businesses are very well established. But when you're starting out, you have to be there all the time. I'm in my business still every day. I am here every day. If I'm in Texarkana, I'm here every day in my business. And that's really, really important. You've got to keep your ear to the ground, so to speak, and pay attention to what's going on. So for people, but I would say just start by writing down some ideas, bouncing around in your head, do some research, and just go from there. And you don't have to start big, start small.
I like that. It's be practical and be realistic. You know, I have a couple comments before we leave. Huge shout out to Miss Sylvia, says awesome woman empowerment information. So thank you, Miss Sandy, for being here. I have a comment from Mr. Derek, which I think is awesome. He talks about leaps of faith aren't the way unless you have faith. So you have to have faith. And the faith could
Yes.
be faith in yourself, faith that you have a goal, and then also be prepared that not only you're going to have to work, you also have to prepare yourself. Because as Miss Sandy has said, you know, she's in the industry, she's researching the industry all the time, not just going with what's out there now and willing to change with it. So, but it has been always a pleasure to talk to you, and I always have so much fun. Do you have any closing remarks for us before we wrap it up?
No, but I am going to give you a quote from my favorite DJ, Casey Kasem from the 1970s, that says, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
I love it. And to all of our viewers, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. It's been amazing to hang out with the fabulous Miss Sandy. We're going to be back in 2 weeks, so catch us back on the 29th with another actually fun guest that I hope you guys enjoy as well. Hope you guys are motivated and inspired. And in case you don't remember, I believe in you. I know you are meant to do great things. This show has hopefully inspired you to know that you can break barriers, you can be a trailblazer, and you can do whatever you want, regardless of the age. I don't know if I'm going to be bodybuilding. Let me just tell you, Miss Andy, I don't know if I'm that excited. I might hit the gym here and there, but so thank you, everybody, and we will see you again in 2 weeks, everybody. Thank you. Bye, madam.
All right, thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.